All right. All right. Hello, this is Wmpyr, and joining me today, as always, Mr. Ryck. It's been a
Hello.
while.
It has been a while.
Too long, too long. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Awesome, awesome. So, we've been talking about wanting to do Stargate for so long, so long.
Right,
So, we don't have to do it all today. We could,
right.
we could dabble in it just a little bit, get our feet wet, kind of thing, right? Because there's so much to talk about, right?
It's real. Okay, yeah. I'll try to contain myself.
All right, all right. Okay, so let's start with a movie, right? I saw it in the movie theater when I was in college.
Okay.
A friend of mine was like, "Dude, you got to go see it." I thought it was around close to December, around that time, winter time, if I'm not mistaken. I could, or it
That's
might be
right.
summer. I might be totally wrong.
Right. No, I think it might have been a winter thing, but I can't. I don't know for sure.
Summer makes more sense though. You'd think it'd be a summer blockbuster, right? So
Yeah, but in the '90s they were a little more careful, and that was more like the bang bang bust 'em up, lethal weapon kind of summer movies,
okay,
Die Hard stuff. This
yeah,
is more a little more um, mind related and a
mm,
little more like historically tied in and a little more of a drama than a action. So,
sci-fi.
so yeah, December could be an appropriate time for that in the '90s. Right.
Okay,
So I
I
think you
just.
might be right, man.
I just remember when I saw it with some buddies in college, and I was pretty impressed. I was blown away. What did you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I didn't know anything about this, and to me, all this concept of Egypt
Oh,
and aliens was all brand new, and
right.
I was like, "Wait, what is happening?" And the Stargate and portals and stuff. I was like, "This is great." So yeah, it blew my mind.
Now, did you think so? At that time, you had no, you weren't into like ancient UFO alien type stuff. No, nothing like that.
Not like to where I am now, because there really wasn't as much. Again, this is before the internet, folks.
Right,
This
right,
is
right,
early
right.
'90s. No internet, no email, none of that was like really prevalent. So I always been fascinated with Egypt, because even as a little kid, I'm like, how the hell did they build this, and why can't we figure this out? And I always had like this weird thing, and I love the architecture, the artwork, the mummies, all of it. So I had a kind of fascination with it, but there wasn't much you could go to read up on it, unless you go to the library and look up stuff. And it's all like scientific papers stuff. So this was my first exposure to the idea of combining ancient aliens with historical fact.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it was kind of like my first, like, well, at least seeing it in theaters, and I was like, whoa, this is an awesome idea. So
Right.
it blew my mind to tie those together.
I see.
And
I
then, throw in the sci-fi space stuff and, like, explain how the cultures worked and different planets involved in that. It blew my mind. I was like, this is the coolest movie ever.
okay. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, I loved it.
And
I was in college as well at the same time, so I was like, this is great.
yeah, at the time, I mean, the internet was like more like, dude, have you all signed up to this thing called the email? Because we're gonna start using it in class. It was something like that. Make sure you get an email. It was barely at that stage.
Right? Like, what's an email? Right.
But I had heard of people talking about one of the crazy UFOologist guys, the what is it called, the Chariots of
Oh, Chariots of Fire.
is
Oh,
it
no, Chariots of the Gods.
Chariots of the Gods. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. That book.
yeah,
I remember some people talking about that book, and I was
yeah.
like, "What?" And then they were telling me about the book, and I was like, "No, that's crazy." So that was my first. I had heard about it from before, actually.
Okay.
When I was a kid. When I was a kid, my aunt would send me crazy books about UFOs, the Loch Ness Monster, Bigfoot, and all that kind of stuff,
Oh,
and I
wow.
was like super into that stuff. But yeah, so in college again, that kind of rekindled or my fascination grew again. And then you watch Stargate, and it's like, oh, here it is in Hollywood format. So
Right.
so it was like, wow. I remember seeing that.
Absolutely.
I also remember I like the tie-in with the military. With Kurt Russell plays an excellent special forces kind of guy.
Yeah.
I really liked that his character was kind of like to the point, no nonsense.
Yep.
He just kind of gets things done. He wasn't really emotional. He wasn't really.
Right.
dramatical. He just, this is my mission. This is what I do. Aliens show up, awesome technology. Just everyone else is freaked out. He doesn't care.
Right.
You know.
He's also a different headset, mind you. Remember
Right.
I don't want to give much away. You haven't seen it, but his mind wasn't in a healthy state of being.
Yes.
But, he's very military. We're like, okay, now there's aliens. Cool. Let's shoot him. You're like, this guy's badass.
Right. I mean, normally when you see that, it's like, what do you forget it, right? They outclass you so much, right? That, you know how they did the masks just would come on.
Yeah.
The special effects closest to that I've seen was remember the first Batman with the Batmobile, the way it would have the shields and then the armor would like come on.
Yeah.
It was like, and ever since that, I mean, that was like, wow, that's odd. The Batmobile got cocooned, right? And now to see that, but on a mask that just like an armor mask that comes out of nowhere, it was just so awesome. It just comes out like from right here or something. It's like, and Horus,
That was like high-end technology. You're like, dang.
Yeah, how freaking awesome is that? If they have that level of technology, why not the whole rest of the body, right?
Right.
Kind of makes you wonder.
CGI costs is my guess.
Yeah, they just didn't need it. I don't know, but yeah, that blew my mind. So the special effects at the time blew me away. It was the kind of special effects that I wanted to see.
Right.
It was super cool, and then the pyramid coming down and everything, and
right.
The pyramid ship, and then seeing the aliens themselves, the Ra and everything. What did you think about once you saw the leader of the aliens?
Right. I think it was well casted. The guy played it perfect because he was kind of. I think it was Jay Anderson. He was in the Crying Game, so he kind of played an androgynous leader.
Right.
And which kind of makes sense because if you're at that level of godness, you kind of tend to be any particular sex or gender. You're just kind of this omnipotent, powerful creature. So I thought that was really cool, and the different skill sets and the powers. And then later on, I came to realize that a lot of the attributes they have are a lot of Egyptian folklore or even ancient folklore about glowing eyes, supernatural powers that was mistaken for technology. Like, looking back, the movie really hit on a lot of topics that seem more modern now because of ancient aliens and other things brought out. But 30 years ago, people were still hitting those topics, even though it wasn't mainstream.
Right.
So it's almost like we got to see it burgeoning out in the Hollywood format, like you said. It was just like, oh my God, it brought together so many cool points. And then all topped with James Spader, whom I love, as the geeky scientist guy who's kind of reacting like the audience would be kind of like blown away by how it all works. And he's next to Kurt Russell, who's the stoic guy, giving nothing away. So it was a nice juxtaposition to see those two guys interplay. It was just really well put together.
It was, for sure.
Yeah.
It kind of took a while until they get to the point where the action begins. It took a long while. So at some points, my dad fell asleep in the beginning of the movie. He was like, "This is boring." And I was like, "Dad, it gets really, really good," But yeah,
you got to be patient for it. Absolutely, but if you enjoy the journey. There's a lot of fun, quirky things that kind of, to me, kept me entertained.
Yes.
Until they got to the point where like, oh, damn, that's what's going on? Okay, all right. So, yeah.
Yeah, because once they arrive, I mean, it's a different pace. Yeah.
Yeah, 100% right. And the editing kind of dictates that as well, which is kind of neat.
Right. So I mean, yeah. And but if it was like that from the very beginning, I don't know. If they immediately arrived and it would be more like Independence Day or something. No.
Exactly. Right, which is fun for what it is, but this was meant to be like more of a film more than just a blockbuster movie. Like they actually put some time into the plot and the characters and developing those characters.
Right.
It's not just like gunfire, bang, bang, blow them up. It's like, nope, there's actually some substance to it. So
yeah,
they can time to cultivate, like you're saying, and the action comes later. 100%.
So now let's make the jump to the TV show, right?
All right.
So the TV show in the U.S., is it one of the longest running?
It was 10 years. So I think as far as like sci-fi shows go, I think it was probably one of the longest ones
In the U.S., right?
in the U.S. Yeah,
I think in the world might be Doctor Who, right? The
I think,
British,
yeah, but they've had so many different casts in those years that it's like it's almost
right?
like a different show. But technically, yes, yeah.
So, but for Stargate, and does this also include the other ones, like Atlantis
Uh,
and stuff?
Atlantis was only 5 years. Stargate, the original SG-1 was 10 years.
10 years. Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. Yeah.
97 to 2006, so 10 seasons. I should say.
Holy moly. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
20
that's
some odd episodes. 'Cause back then, you young kids, seasons were 22 episodes. Now they're like 6 to 10.
right.
That's
Right. It's much more short. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why a lot of times, like even with X-Files, it'll be 2 that are on plot, and then 3 that are just random fillers that have no context.
Right.
Then you get back to the plot. Where now all 10, there's a very tight thread.
Right.
Back then it was way looser, but they had to kill more episodes per season, so they did a lot of more experimenting.
Yes.
So, 200 episodes plus.
But that also allowed you to miss a couple of episodes, and then you're not thrown off, because it's not like if you missed it, what are you going to do back then? You can't look it up online. You can't,
Right.
So-
TiVo didn't exist.
Right. So, that kind of made sense. And then you kind of know, oh, the season finale is coming up. I better not miss this one because I'll be
Right.
lost. Yeah, so.
Right, got to check in now and see where they are with who's the bad guys and what's up. Yeah, for sure.
Right. So I think that was kind of the formula back then.
Big
Now,
time.
I think for a lot of people, going from the movie to the TV show, there's obviously a budget difference, right?
Big time. Oh, big time.
Big, so people could get discouraged from that, and also obviously the cast changed. We no longer have Kurt Russell; it's
Right.
MacGyver, right?
Right.
And of course it's not James Spader. Although the guy that they chose, he does a really good job bridging the gap there, and then he became his own
Gives a
legitimate.
haircut. Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
you got to give him credit to where he became his own legitimate, character. Where you go, hey, I can respect that, right?
100%.
Yeah. At first, it was kind of like, okay, they got a guy similar to, James Spader, but
Right.
and same also with MacGyver, right?
Yeah. Yeah, he was kind of Kurt Russell-esque in that he was a little more deadpan, but he certainly became kind of the smarmy one-line zinger dude. Always had like the negative, like, oh really kind of line.
Yeah.
He kind of became his own thing as well.
And it worked because they land on a new place and they're like, oh, check this out, check that, and he's like, all right, I'm just waiting for something bad to happen, and
Right.
he had that kind of opposite side of thinking where you're going, hey, I was thinking the same thing,
Exactly.
so that
Right.
works out great.
Right.
No, he does a really good job too. And then as far as the villains go, the gold, right? Okay. They're different from the movie.
Okay, and honestly, it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but I know they were in there because they were the soldiers to the gods, Ra.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Anubis might have been in the movie. I'm not 100% sure, but so the gold were in there. They were the guys with the helmets,
Right.
things, but they weren't central figures.
Okay.
In the TV show, which takes place in chronological terms 3 years after the movie, but in terms of continuity, it takes place shortly after the movie.
Okay.
As far as the series goes,
Right.
They pick that up where you left off, but the gold will play definitely a much more central role
Right.
in the TV show, and then they still bring in gods, but it's different.
So the main villain, Apophis, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so in his armor is it's a cobra, right? It's a snake, right? And his men, they all have that too as well. And those guys, they kind of explain that within their faction, there's lots of different faction, and there's a very manipulating political schemes constantly going on within their society.
Yeah.
Right. And then
it's like a drug cartel.
Yeah.
And 1,000 dudes aching to be that top dude.
Right.
We're going to kill each other to get to that cheese. Yeah.
And so the what we saw in Stargate, their faction at the time was dominant, but then later on a different faction could have taken over, and whatnot. And then they mentioned stuff like that throughout the series, but. Right. One of the main things about these guys that's different from the movie was that in the movie they actually did show what was inside the Ra, the main villain, right? And inside was an alien that is a much more stereotypical what we're used to, more like a gray. It was white, but right, it's more like a gray alien kind of, much more typical alien type thing was. Right. Inside his body, right? So they kind of show that. Now, in the TV show, they change it to where now it's more like a parasite-looking thing.
Yes.
And the stomach splits open, right? And it goes inside you.
Right.
And it takes over you, which is kind of the same thing. It takes over you, but now it looks more like a monster tapeworm, right?
Right, exactly, right.
100%. And now later, I think they try to explain that and say something like when the Asgard, which is the kind of like the good guy version of the gods, another ancient race. These guys were going through a horrible disease and genetic deterioration. They were trying to figure out ways to prolong their lives, and the Goa'uld may have done this. Made themselves into like this parasite form to prolong their lives. Am I wrong about that?
I thought. Oh, okay, yeah, sort of. Okay, I think there's a tie-in with the Goa'uld and the Unas.
Okay.
Like initially, they kind of weren't the form they're in now, but they became parasitic way before they started ruling the planet, whatever. Okay. But there was some weird tie-in where they had to do something. I think become parasitic was their way of surviving.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because of some genetic, they couldn't evolve fast enough, so they had to become parasitic or something like that.
Right.
So there is something to that. But I don't know if that's tied in with the Asgard.
Okay. So
only in similarity that they both having genetic issues.
Right. So that was my understanding. So maybe that's why the main bad guy in the movie wasn't like that,
Right.
Is because I don't know, his faction was okay. They were not going through that kind of health problems, the diseases or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
So and then so in SG-1, we have the crew still traveling around all over the place. And to me, this was the fun part. You had like a platoon of like, 5 guys, 5 people, and they're constantly going to different, typing into different zip codes, right? And going into the Stargate and go, okay, let's see where this takes us. And they're jotting it down, right? And taking notes and
alliances and trying to get information and technology. Yeah,
because the enemy is just so far ahead of their technology that they needed to network. They needed to find, share and get some new allies and information and all that kind of stuff, right?
Right.
Just that fact alone that we're putting humans behind, right? And the enemy is one step above. So that kind of like a suspense.
Yeah.
I like that. I enjoy that. Instead of, okay, we're the most dominant force in the galaxy going around,
Right.
And yeah, they could be a threat, but we're still the most dominant force. No, not in Stargate, right?
Exactly. Right. There's always a bigger fish.
Right.
Exactly. That was kind of neat about it. It's like, all right, we weren't number one. Which because we're a big fish in a small pond on Earth.
Right.
But in the bigger scheme of things, these people had thousands of years ahead of us to perfect technologies that we hadn't even dreamed of.
Right.
So yeah, and the way they deal with that, and I also like how they throw in like just the human issues that we go with on this planet show up in other planets.
Oh.
Two different neighboring worlds in conflict,
Mm.
and each wanting to destroy the other because of tradition,
Mm-hmm.
politics, racism, sexism, all the different topics that are pertinent to us get explored comfortably for the audience in a different world.
Right.
Where you're able to go, wow, these people are really screwed up. And then you got to go, nope, it's just like us, but just in a different section. So I thought it was really cool the way the show did that and explored those realms, but in a way that made it palatable and not so like, something's wrong with you. But more like, something's wrong with us as a species, and here's how we're going to show that. So I thought that would have a neat undertone.
Right. No, that's comparing the macrocosm with the microcosm kind of thing. Yeah, very, very cool stuff.
Yeah, big time.
So yeah, and you know, we were talking about some of the other civilizations and stuff that they encounter. Some of them are way beyond ours, right? Like technology wise, like way. It's like
right.
I remember one where they I forgot it was I think season 5 or something, and they were like some completely hidden, so you couldn't even see them at all or something, and then somehow they got Stargate forces got mixed up with them, and then they were pretty much like, you guys are awesome, we need your help. And they were like, no, until the right time comes, we won't show ourselves. And they just disappeared back into the clouds or something. Do you remember that one?
The Nox.
Is that what they were?
They were like little woodland creatures.
Okay.
And then we were like, and then Stargate One's like, oh my god, you guys are so primitive. The ghouls are going to eat you up like a hawk eating a kitten. And they're like, we're good. And they're like, no, you're not good. And you know, this giant thing in the sky. They're like, no, dude, we're good.
We're good. We're protected.
We're so evolved. We're back to primitive looking, but we have this super technological advanced spaceship out there. Like, thanks for playing though. And SU1's like, okay, got it. Yeah, that was a great episode.
Yeah,
they even brought him back a couple more times.
Oh, okay, great.
In subsequent episodes, yeah. But yeah, that was a cool touch. Like, we think we're the best, and we see some woodland creatures. We're like, oh, these poor little things. They're way more advanced than we are. We're like, okay.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that's cool.
So, one of the who are the characters of the team that you like?
Oh man, I like them all. Like Richard Dean Anderson as General O'Neill, as kind of the leader. I dig him. He's strong but familiar, and like you kind of you forget that he's MacGyver after a while. You're just like, he's just O'Neill. He was awesome. Michael Shanks, who plays the James Spader character, Daniel, he's awesome because he's like the super geeky eyes of a child.
Right.
Oh, let's explore this and learn about that.
Right.
And O'Neill's always like, let's kill it and then ask questions later.
Yeah.
And then Sam was like the
doctor.
Hot, geeky scientist, but she's also super cool.
Oh, that's right. She's a scientist. Yeah.
Like, well, she was an astrophysicist, but she's also, at some point, she became a medical technician. She was doing surgeries. She was a computer hacker. They gave her a lot of stuff to do. It was the 90s. It was like astrophysicist, but okay, whatever. And then Teal'c was part of the Jaffa who helped out the Gould. I liked his character because he brought the objective perspective, because he was an alien in our world, going to alien worlds, and so they would do funny things. Like, I remember they were walking away in one episode, and O'Neill made some joke, but she's like, oh my god, if we keep this up, doing this many good deeds, we're going to go on Oprah. And there's a small pause, and Teal'c just goes, what is an Oprah? Literally kind of like, little campy humor part like that. He really played the deadpan role awesome.
Right, he did.
I even liked Hammond, the main guy who ran the thing. He was great.
General,
Hammond of Texas. All the characters were just like really well cast.
He was believable. Yeah.
He was definitely.
I liked him.
it's 90 cheesy, I guess. As much as I love it, if you don't have a nostalgia for 90s sci-fi, it's probably not for you. Because it's not like it's very well packaged, and easy to digest, which I like.
Right.
And doesn't take itself too seriously, but it does definitely pose every now and then some intriguing questions about humanity or psychology or technology and how we use it. So it did have for as funny and entertaining it had some pretty thought-provoking moments.
Yes.
Which made it kind of like, all right, which I see why it lasted 10 years.
Right.
There weren't many shows that were doing that. And it was a really good mix of all that together.
Mm-hmm. So. Now you've seen Star Trek, of course.
This TV show or the movies?
Both. or
like the original Star Trek? Like 60s Star Trek?
Sure, or even the more modern ones.
Yes. Yeah, I used to watch the old Star Trek TV show. I watched oh my gosh. The one with Picard?
Generations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I watched all the Star Trek movies from the 90s, and then I watched the most recent 3 Star Treks as well.
Oh, okay.
Abrams directing.
Right.
So that's like 40 years of yeah, that's like, it hurts to say, but like, yeah, been watching Star Trek for 40 years.
You prefer Stargate, yeah?
Oh,
or
man.
No? Or you like them both?
Well, Star Trek, the original series from the 60s with Kirk, only lasted 3 years.
Uh-huh.
So that's like 50, 60 episodes. So you couldn't get as involved in the character, and there was more characters, as involved as you can with a show that's lasting 10 years.
Right, of course.
So that longevity factor kind of made me like Stargate.
Mm-hmm.
Star Trek was although it was a little cheesy for different reasons because it didn't have the technology, the tone wasn't as cheesy.
Mm-hmm.
It was less smarmy and a little more serious, and like Twilight Zone sci-fi.
Right.
But they also dealt with a lot of cool topics about technology, humanity, what it means to be human, is AI reality, robots. So they hit a lot of good stuff too. I happen to like campy humor. So O'Neill's little jibs and the Teal'c things, what's an Oprah? I eat that shit up.
Right.
that resonated with me because I'm like, I love this. You know?
If you think about it, it's, there is a lot of similarities there. The Teal'c character with Spock, they're both the alien, so
right.
Things like that. There's definitely they're traveling to other worlds. Of course, one's using a spacecraft, the other is using the Stargate, but you're still going to other worlds, exploring new places. And sometimes you do encounter alien forces with technology that is just way above yours or completely different and completely different ways of thinking.
Right. Different cultural customs that you have to deal with, and you're like, they're going to do a killer for what? Or, so yeah, getting used to that. So like, that's like a cultural tip to the hat kind of thing. So yeah, it's both shows are very similar and both were well done for their time.
Right. Oh, that's so. Is Stargate your favorite sci-fi TV show?
Whoo! That's a loaded question.
Is it?
Damn, man.
I'm sorry, man. I didn't mean to.
Well, okay. I also have oh my god, I did not expect this one, man. Definitely top 3 to 5. Only because my dad and I used to watch it together, so I have a nostalgia effect with that. We both like the sci-fi and stuff. So, but I also liked Battlestar Galactica.
That I never got into that. I never got into it.
Really?
Yeah.
The original or the remake in 2003?
The original I used to watch as a kid in the 80s.
Right.
And then I kind of try to revisit it, and I was like, whoa, I used to watch this? It's like, man, have times changed,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, wow.
I was 6 when it came out in 1977. I was 6. So I was like, this is awesome. Because it's like Star Wars, but on television.
Right.
And, but then it only lasted a very short time. So, but the reboot, I really enjoyed.
The reboot, I tried to get into it and I couldn't. What would you say is the appeal there?
Okay, I liked it because the Cylons were human flesh now.
They were What?
That hot blonde lady.
Yeah.
That she was a Cylon.
Right.
Yeah, and so they were flesh and blood, and they believed in God.
Okay.
And so they took the robot thing and they kind of twisted it around.
Okay.
And now they have, instead of being just deadpan robots, it's these robots who want to be human and have souls and believe in God more than a lot of the humans do.
Okay.
That was kind of a cool twist. They drug out a few things. They made Starbuck a woman, which I thought was kind of cool. It was much grittier. Much how Nolan took the Batman series and made it a little grittier.
Yes.
Or Quantum of Solace made 007 a little grittier.
Right.
Battlestar Galactica, the remake, made it a little more gritty.
Okay.
It wasn't just like people walk around in pretty suits going, "Hey, buddy, let's go kill something." It was like it shows them sweating and working, and getting pissed and smoking and drinking and popping pills and all the internal like angst you get from being on a ship or fighting a war that you can't win.
Right.
It actually got a little drawn out with the legal shit for me. They take a little like I was like, dude, okay, we got it. Let's move on. But they brought it full circle and put a lot of new twists on it.
Okay.
It was really compelling, man. I mean, I don't know if it doesn't click, it doesn't click. And it's 5 seasons, so you got to put some time into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought it was a really well done. They took a lot of time with character development, which is kind of rare for a gritty sci-fi.
I see.
But they had the time to do it, so I was like, all right. So that was the appeal for me. And then the bad guy, I always forget his. I want to say Bartholomew, but it's not. It's something with a B. But they got an English guy to play him who is the perfect cast for this dude. Playing a kind of a smart weasel. This guy's beautifully cast, and his role is hilarious.
Was he the doctor?
Yeah, Dr. B.
Was he the psychiatrist or no? He was a medical doctor, right?
No, he was kind of like the Tony Stark, I think.
Okay.
He was like he could build stuff and was really quick with his mind.
And he was seeing the Cylon lady, the blonde lady, right? He would talk to her.
Right. Well, she was also flesh and blood, but at some point she could get into his mind, so she could manifest herself in his brain. And so you see him talking, and it'd be like him talking to her in these twisty pan motions, and then like someone else would walk in and you see him talking to himself. Right.
Yeah. And I thought they were trying to go to a planet. What was the planet? Was it Earth or was it?
I don't want to give it away.
Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, or was it where they came from, or something like that, right? Yeah, the origin of humans, or and they were So
they kind of brought it full circle with our development as on this. Yeah.
So I got to that point, but then it was like, should I continue, or I was like, it's story wise, it's kind of getting interesting, but maybe it was too nitty gritty for me. It was.
Right.
It was too stressful.
It's not well wrapped up or packaged. Like every Stargate episode, there's a distinct beginning. Like we're setting up the problem. Here's the challenges. Resolution. It's very like prepackaged sandwich. You know what you're getting.
Yeah.
Battlestar Galactica was like a Subway buffet, man. You're like, okay, you can throw a little bit of this in there, throw a little bit of that. You kind of make it as you go. So it was different, and it's a little more. Some bites aren't going to work. Some bites taste good. It was like they got a little Gregory Peck in the middle. Like there's a lot of shit on lawyerisms and fighting the cause, and I was like, that kind of dragged on a little bit for me. But then it kind of brought back to the sci-fi again. But it definitely was. It's different than the Stargates or the Star Treks for sure. They really took the gritty road.
So Stargate, Battlestar Galactica. What else is up there for you?
For sci-fi,
yeah,
favorite movies.
We could include either, but I'm kind of right now we're in TV shows, right?
Oh yeah. I gotta make sure I have a path, and I'll jump in.
Man, movies is a whole other can of worms, right?
Sure, absolutely right. My bad. All right, Voyager. I liked Picard, and that whole set of group people. And they kind of did some cool things, and they brought like Einstein and Newton in, and I thought, and they brought even Stephen Hawking. I thought that was kind of cool. trying to think what else out there. How about you? What are some of your favorites? I know because you also have a comic book background, so that might influence what you watched or like to watch.
Maybe. Let me see. Yeah, I enjoyed Stargate for sure. Babylon 5 is amazing, and
Okay,
from everything
never watched it.
I think
Okay,
you would like it.
okay,
From everything that you've said, I think you would enjoy it.
right,
It's a lot more serious. You know,
okay,
it's a lot more serious, but like one of the main differences between Stargate and Star Trek, even though there's a lot of similarities, I think
right,
in the Stargate universe, it kind of goes into like the ancients, right, and where we come from. In Star Trek, they don't super go into that, right? Normally, they don't
right,
really, you
right.
know.
It's more exploratory.
Yeah,
Right,
and it's more about the future and now, and not so much about that kind of thing. But in Stargate, they go into that. So in Babylon 5, they really go into it and they answer it.
right.
Yeah, they kind of reveal all the way, like where do we come from, kind of stuff, and
Nice.
the ancient. Well, maybe not what you're thinking, but they'll go to the root,
I got you. I'm with you. I'm with you.
and not just for Earth, but the whole galaxy. They'll go right into the root, and it answers a lot, and it like actually makes sense, even like from Earth standpoint.
Okay.
And then I don't want to ruin it or anything, but it's I don't know. It tells you one story from beginning to end. That's the way my friend described it to me. He said it tells you one big story, um, and the big story is excellent. That's
Okay.
yeah,
All right. All
that's all I
right.
can say. Well, one of the things I could tell you is humans had to go to war against another alien race, right? And
Okay.
they were called the Mimbari. And so these forces came in. We fought them. We're getting destroyed. The humans are getting annihilated, right? Completely annihilated. All of a sudden, they surrender. And it was because of religious reasons.
Oh wow.
Right. So they tie in the spirituality into the whole spirit thing into the story. And yeah, and they become an ally and whatnot. And they're
Oh,
they
cool.
were far stronger than us, and
Right.
so it's kind of interesting to go
Nice.
in, and that's just one portion
Right. Right. Right.
of the
Oh, very
story.
cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice. All right. Yeah.
so obviously they're closer to the more history of the origins of the universe, and so they're a little bit more enlightened as a species,
Sure.
and respecting and understanding how the universe started and whatnot,
Right.
than
Right. How
us.
precious
So
life is.
yeah.
Sure.
And
That's
obviously,
awesome. Okay.
yeah, there's also some other planets, other alien races that are not. They're the opposite. They're like super fighting and war, and they're completely the opposite, right? They're worse than us,
Right.
you know.
Oh God.
Yeah. So, but we
That's
get
cool.
to
They show
see
the
all
whole
that.
gamut, the whole spectrum of all
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
We get to see that. Yeah, and yeah, some crazy interesting stuff happening. Uh,
Nice. Hey,
yeah.
you used to watch Farscape, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Far.
I saw because I watched Netflix did or Amazon Prime did the. Since you like this, you might also like this.
Yeah.
Farscape, which I've never watched before, but it's got Ben Browder, which you mentioned,
Right.
and Claudia Black, who's the
Right.
last two seasons of Stargate. I was
Yes,
like,
yes. Both of
what?
them. Both of them are
Yeah,
in there. Yeah. Yeah.
that was cool. I was like, oh, okay. I wonder if it's the same producers, but I don't know. But what was it? Was Farscape pretty like? It seemed like it was kind of lighthearted and comical.
Farscape, absolutely, also one of my favorites in there. The thing about Farscape is it takes a while to get to the point, but like to put it simply, uh, it's kind of lighthearted, right? And it goes and goes, and then all of a sudden, like the real story appears where the main character, I think I explained to you, he gets the most powerful weapon in the galaxy. it's in his mind, right? He gets the most powerful weapon in the galaxy. Now everybody wants him. Everybody wants that technology, so they all come after him, right? And he's just like in a rogue ship, with some, rogue people, and it's just craziness, so
Nice, nice. All right.
and that technology was given to him pretty much by like Einstein, right, or a form of Einstein.
Okay.
And yeah, it's
Nice.
so it's insane. And yeah, I remember the end where he was explaining he gets, they're like, give us the weapon or we're gonna kill all your friends, or something like that. And he was like, you don't get it. This thing is so powerful, it's gonna kill everybody. He's like,
Right.
you're not gonna rule the galaxy if there is no galaxy.
Right.
Yeah.
Get this point. Oh, that's awesome. Nice.
So he was trying to.
That sounds very similar. At least the image of it. It looked like a bunch of people on a rogue ship flying around together. Do you ever watch Firefly?
Yeah. Cool show.
Yeah, I really like that show. I was
Yeah.
kind of bummed it got canceled, but Serenity was a great movie. But
Right.
Is there kind of a similar vibe between Farscape and Firefly?
Yeah. In the spaceship, the way they're hanging around, yeah, for sure. Maybe even more so lighthearted in Farscape at first.
Okay.
Yeah, just because the main character is from Earth, and Earth is like nowhere near. He accidentally warped and ended up with these people, and
Okay.
he got rescued, kind of thing. And so he's making Earth jokes and stuff, and they don't understand.
Right.
Yeah, so some of the things, and he's that kind of guy, so he's pretty hilarious. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, he was pretty funny in Stargate. So.
Yeah. So he's
Wow. It's like, all right.
he let loose, but yeah. So Serenity was definitely cool. I think I prefer the Farscape, and then speaking of the in a spaceship, and then a bunch of crew members, just got like a small set of crew members got to hang out with each other, kind of thing. Let's see, the other one that I liked was Lex. Have you heard of that?
No.
Lex, I think it was a German-produced, it could have been British TV show, and the spaceship that they're in ends up being like the most powerful spaceship in the galaxy. It can destroy planets, right? And so they, bunch of renegade people end up in there, and they're running away from the Empire and everything, and they just happen to be in the most powerful spaceship, which is it's organic.
Nice.
and that's really wacky. It's really really crazy, and
Right.
so I enjoy that one. That's fun. Even more wacky is Red Dwarf. Have you heard of that one? That's a British.
That sounds vaguely familiar.
That's 100% comedy.
Okay. Oh, it is comedy?
100%. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
nice.
yeah. So I really really liked Red Dwarf. I try to watch as much of it as I could, but yeah, it's just hard to find over here. But yeah.
Right. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I'll have to keep an eye out for that one. Red Dwarf.
But
Nice.
but story wise, I'd say probably the best out of all of those was Babylon 5 is what I would recommend to you and anyone. Is if you just sit down and watch it from beginning to end, I think it's a story worth remembering.
Oh, nice. All right. That sounds good.
Yeah. Farscape was good though.
Do I need to watch anything before Babylon 5? Is there any kind of prequels, or is it kind of its own?
Yeah, it's
tie into any of the Star Treks or anything?
no,
right?
no. Just Babylon 5 by itself would be fine. Yeah. And of course, I watched not every single Voyager, but I watched a decent amount of Voyager. I think I watched all of Generations, and then I grew up with the original Star Trek. And my favorite out of all of those was Deep Space Nine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I
But
never watched that one either.
no,
I stopped after Generations.
The Deep Space Nine was pretty cool because they kind of go into like the Dominion, and it's almost like a mafia like existence, and
Oh
these
wow.
are run by the changelings.
Okay.
So the changelings are extremely powerful. They could, they have their hand in every government, every planet and whatnot. So they're like the mafia, and they have their own forces. They're very very powerful, and
Nice.
one of the chief of security of Deep Space Nine happens to be a changeling, and so they come over to him and they're like, join us, and they frequently talk to him and stuff. But yeah, so it's that makes it extra unique for me. All
Right.
that, yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, I mean, he's like the T-1000 in Terminator. Is that's unbeatable.
Right.
It's like liquid can turn into anything you want, kind of thing.
You definitely want him on your side.
Yeah. So
That's awesome.
yeah, he's a cool character too. Very cool. Very by the book, but he's in some ways a little quirky. Kind of like Sherlock Holmes meets Frankenstein's monster. That kind of character.
I like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I gotta pick those out then after I'm done with my Stargate rendezvous, man. I'm locked in. I watched spent the whole summer watching Stargate SG-1 all over again.
Nice.
Now I'm on Atlantis, and then I got to go to Universe. And then there's something with Stargate Continuum. There's a couple of movies. I'm like, oh my god, there's a lot of stuff out there to watch.
That's right. I watched Origins. I enjoyed it. Stargate Origins. I thought it was nice. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
It was cool, man. It was.
Who was the cast on that one? The FP1 cast?
Man, it's been it's new. It's completely It's you don't see it. No one you recognize. Because it's Origins. So it was way back in Egypt when they discovered the Stargate. And then the Nazis won it. Yeah.
Oh shit! Okay.
The Nazis are coming in, and they're trying to take it, and the U.S. Troop gets involved. So there's like 2 or maybe 3 of them get involved, and so them and the scientist girl, and they end up there. That's the crew, So.
That's awesome.
Right. So it was nice. It was nice to see. Not huge budget or anything, but yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot.
I didn't answer a few questions. And like,
it was cute. It was really cute. And then the main villain, the villainess, also the way they tied her in and everything. It was neat. It was neat. She was one of those rival factions of the gold and whatnot. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I forgot what they called her. I forgot her name, but yeah, it was super interesting. I liked it. So it wasn't like a main villain, from
right.
It wasn't like that, but yeah, she was definitely connected to all that. So
that's cool.
In fact, did one of the main guys show up? I think. Maybe Apophis, maybe Ra. One of them showed up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it was Ra showed up, and I wasn't happy with her.
Go figure.
Yeah. But no, it was cool. It was cool.
That's awesome. Cool. That's awesome. Yeah.
So, you are enjoying Atlantis now? Yeah.
I am. It took me a while to get into it.
Mm.
But after probably halfway through the first season, I'm like, all right.
It's starting to work. Yeah, great.
Yeah, and they made a few cast changes by getting rid of a few characters that were like kind of not as strong as actors, and that helped a little bit too. So I was like, okay. And they kind of started focusing on the scientist guy who was he's kind of a douchebag, but he's endearing. So you're like, all right, like Rodney McKay.
The British, Irish.
No, the Scottish guy. He was the
Scottish.
McKay was the kind of the narcissistic scientist.
Okay.
He showed up a couple times on Stargate SG-1 too. He had a great time playing him. But he's basically just kind of like a wee man, if you will. But he's hilarious. So like once they kind of figured out the pattern and they dialed it in, it made the show more enjoyable.
Nice.
But, yeah.
But the original the SG one is so good, huh?
I think so. Like I said, like it's for those who are going to watch it for the first time. Just remember, this was 22 years ago.
Yeah.
Just keep that in mind. This movie started 3 years or 4 years after Jurassic Park came out.
Right. It was,
put that into people's perspective.
Yeah.
Like how old this movie really is, or how the show is. But yeah, it's enjoyable. It's lighthearted. It's something you can eat dinner to without getting like totally wrapped up and involved. It's like someone reading you a story. You're like, oh, this is cool, but you know it's gonna end up and be wrapped up. And there's no giant cliffhangers except for maybe a two-parter. No major like, whoa. But just a lot of like, nice, well done. Okay, you know, it's just enjoyable, lighthearted fun.
Yeah.
With some sci-fi and some cheesy one-liners.
I mean, at the time, the other TV shows were like Xena, right?
Right, and Hercules.
Right. So, it was around that time, so it was...
The smarmy kind of walk kind of humor was just getting popular at that time. Like I said, Xena, Hercules, even a little bit of in X-Files had that kind of like nudge humor and one-liners. That was kind of popular in the 90s.
Right. And also, one that I never got into was Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah, me neither. I watched a little bit of it.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I never got big into it.
The people that got into it, they always tell me that it's really, really good, you know,
right.
And, I don't know because I never got into it. I remember the movie not being that impressive.
Right. I mean, the show is also kind of campy and kind of lighthearted with its humor and stuff. And I remember one of the biggest reveals on the show was that the redheaded gal, Allison, I forgot her name. She was kind of the sidekick to Buffy.
Okay.
Was a bisexual.
Oh, okay.
In the 90s, I was like, what? It kind of was like, whoa, my God. And it's like, nowadays, you'd be like, yeah.
And
it's like, okay. But back then, that didn't happen in TV shows.
Oh, man.
So they were the first to kind of pioneer that, hey, we got a bisexual.
Right. So speaking of which, I gotta tell you because I know you're a big fan of Deadpool, right? In Deadpool 2, right? They had Shatterstar in there, right?
Yeah.
So for me, back in the 90s, when I was reading, X-Force, that's where I believe the first time Deadpool shows up or whatever. He didn't have that personality. He was nothing like that yet. Okay, he was just kind of like more like a Snake Eyes kind of guy. He just didn't talk much. He had guns and a ninja sword, kind of like that. Sure. And so he was the assassin type of dude. And then Shatterstar was the one that, I mean, my buddies and I were like, "Whoa, Shatterstar! He's so cool. He's from another planet, and he's agile, and he can use the sword, and he he fights all this like ninja stuff, and then he could shoot like an energy force from the sword, and so it was all about Shatterstar. He looks cool and everything.
Nice.
So then later on, they made him gay.
Is that right?
Yeah. And like in the original, I think I don't think they mentioned that. Not that changes anything, but he was a slave on a planet where this evil villain that looked kind of like Jabba the Hutt or something, Mojo, was his boss and used him as a slave, him and his people. And Shatterstar got away or something. That was the original backstory for that guy. But in the Deadpool 2 story, he was just like a gay, pompous, like no one liked him kind of thing. Deadpool hated him, and then he dies really, really quick too, right?
Right.
So, I mean, it's like, I don't know if there was something going on there where, Deadpool was jealous and, it's just like, yeah, let's get rid of this guy.
Right, I mean, he's out. That's funny.
Because at first, like I said, Deadpool was a nobody. It was Shatterstar. Of course, Cable was which you see in the movie too. Cable, Shatterstar, Domino, those, and you see all of them in Deadpool 2. They were very they were way more popular. Deadpool was, unknown at, at, at the time.
Crazy.
Yeah, and yeah, Domino also they really changed in the movie. She in the comic books don't look anything like that. Is fairly, I think, quite different.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. I think she was an ex fashion model or I don't know something like that in the comic books if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, funny. All right.
Yeah. So
I like the gal they chose for the role in the movies. I have no idea she was even in the comics. So I didn't even know that.
it worked out. Yeah. She stayed alive, right? So so they liked her. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Was she lucky in the comic books as well?
It was just luck. Was it? I don't. Part of me feels like we were like, "What's her superpower?" Oh, she's lucky. That's lame, you know.
Because they do that exact thing in the movie.
Right. But then it's like, dude, it's like invincible, you know.
Right, exactly. Nice.
So, anyway, so I think it's been about an hour, so I mean we could keep going, but yeah, I think this is a good time to stop it for now, and definitely looking forward to the next time having you once again. So until then, all right.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you all for tuning in. Talk to you guys later.